I'd like to welcome you all to the City of Bloomington Redevelopment Commission meeting for Monday, April 20th, 2026. We can start with the meeting with a roll call, please.
Laura McRobbie present.
Sue Scambolari present.
John West here.
Deborah Meyerson here. Not in attendance is Mr. Cassidy. First item, and staff present, please.
Anna Killian Hansen, Housing and Neighborhood Development.
Christina Finley, Hand Department.
Tammy Caswell, Hand Department.
Jeff McKim, City Controller.
Kendall Kanoki, Engineering Department.
Dana Kerr, Legal.
Okay, thank you. First item on the agenda is the minutes from April 6, 2026. Any questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I am abstaining. I was absent for that meeting. Motion passes unanimously for the minutes. Next item on the agenda is the claims registers from both March 27th, 2026 and April 10th of the same year. Any questions or comments from commissioners on either of these items?
I've got a comment. On the March 27th claim, page 6, we're issuing payment to American Structure Point. They've been on board for a while, and we've spent a lot of money on reports, and we haven't seen.
Neither have I.
Well, that's a little problematic.
Correct. They know, my understanding, and did Anna Dragovich home yet? She is really the project lead on that particular item. The last time I checked with her, they were working on getting us a draft report. That was a couple weeks ago. I haven't seen anything, so I'm not sure if she's since received anything, but my understanding is no.
Have we paid them anything to date?
Yes. We've paid a couple different claim cycles, which we can look up.
Well, I guess for some reason, I mean, do you think they're dragging their feet where we're not a priority? Part of me is suggesting that we hold payment until we see some evidence of some work.
Okay, I think there's about so here's another piece of information for you. I do believe that their contract is now expired, and there's, I believe, a balance on the contract right now. So I know that Anna was working to bring forward the contract renewal so that they can finish out the dollar amount, but that hasn't come before you yet, likely coming in the next few weeks. The person of the hour just walked into the room, Anna Dragovich. Hey, Anna, there's a question on the claims register related to the American Structure Point contract and whether we've received that draft final report yet or not. Sorry, hot spot.
Oh, okay, great. No, I'm really glad my colleague Nick was listening online and he told me to come in here. So, Anna Dragovich, Capital Projects Manager. I think we're definitely near the end. They're in the process of putting together the final draft. Last I heard, the end of last week, it was going through their communications team to put the final touches on it, but I really think it's a future conversation for an executive session to kind of run through those details and what they discovered.
Well, my question was not what
Sorry.
they discovered. It was that we haven't seen anything from them, and we're into them for 3 payments, and now we're here to collect another check, and we're no further along.
Right.
They may be, we just don't know it, we just keep writing checks.
Right, and I apologize, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. If that's on me as a project manager and not looping in the RDC for those conversations, I apologize, but I do think we're getting close to a time for when communication with you does need to happen. Does that
So it
help?
looks like they've expensed $54,926.18 out of a $58,250 contract. So there's only about $3,300 left on their contract, right?
That's after this
in this current,
claim. Have you, has this, so is the check in this claim, has it gone out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
my comments not relevant.
Well, we could certainly hold, and we actually have to now that the contract is expired as well, so.
Okay, well, thank you for the additional information about that question. Any other questions or comments from commissioners on the claims registers from March 27th or April 10th, 2026? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the claims register for March 14th to 27th.
It's actually two claims registers unless we want to separate them. One is the one for the period ending March 27th and the other is for the period ending April 10th.
Sorry. I'll move approval for both.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda are two payroll registers from April 2nd and April 17th, 2026. Any questions or comments on either of those?
Move for approval.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to reports. Do we have a director's report?
No formal report. I do just want to report out that we did have a productive work session last week. I felt like we are on the agenda for council for Wednesday for Hopewell South. So we'll see what transpires at that time. But I do think that we had a productive session with council last week. So thank you for those that could attend. That was great.
I want to add my thanks to council for the opportunity for that work session. I felt like a joint work session was the direction we needed to go in, and I appreciate that everybody could be there, and I felt like it was a good discussion, so thank you. Do we have a legal report?
I just want to give you an update on the Summit residential TIF. It's progressing very well. We have filed for the council meeting, and it will be on the April 22nd, so in 2 days. It'll be at their regular meeting, and that is just a resolution of their approval. And then after that, it will come back here on May 4th for the actual public hearing on it and a confirmatory resolution should you that you will consider at that time. It did go through the Plan Commission on the April 13th and received their approval. Notice of the hearing was published in the HT. It showed up today, so it's well in advance. The impact analysis statements that needed to go out to the other taxing authorities has gone out. Those were mailed out by Redo Financial this morning, so those have gone out. So we've got the council meeting and then the meeting here on May 4th. And those are the last steps in getting the Summit TIF, residential TIF done. So we're looking forward to finally getting one of those completes, and it's actually been a very fast process, and appreciate all the entities that's been involved with this.
Okay, thank you for that report. We have a treasurer's report.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Business development update.
Nothing major. I'll just, I know we have CIB will pop up on our agenda later today, but I wanted to point out that CIB is collecting public feedback for the 4 finalists for the Convention Center Public Art. They circulated a press release that had a link in it, and I will push that out on the Arts Commission socials and can share that with commissioners. But we want the public to complete the survey, check it out, and say what you like. This is your big opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have an engineering update?
Yes, Kendall Kanoki, Engineering Department, and I've been tasked with managing the Hopewell South contract, and you had requested regular updates, so just wanted to kind of update on where we're at. Hopefully this will pop up here in a sec. Yep. So the first thing is we're doing a lot line adjustment of, it's shown up as 2 lots on GIS, but it's actually 3. And that is currently, it's been submitted to planning for kind of final review, but by the end of the week we'll have, you can see there, 2 new lots and then the remainders in the 3rd lot, but this will allow us to build 3 buildings, which is 4 units early under current zoning. So once this is approved by the end of the week, Flintlock Range is going to submit for building permits. That goes through the Class 2 structure process, so in 2 weeks those will be ready whenever you're ready basically to pick up. I think the building department will just hold them until you can select a builder or someone's identified. They can go pick up those permits and we can get some construction started on the Hopewell South property. So that's really exciting. That's something that we were able to get moving. The other item I wanted to show was we filed initially for Plan Commission, and this is kind of just an overall view of the development. Of course, we're on pause right now. We're waiting for City Council to kind of do a final zoning approval, and then as soon as they do, we'll pick back up, and whatever changes we need to make, we'll make, and then we'll file for the next Plan Commission meeting. So we're kind of just holding at that point, but we are continuing to work on things that affect the property no matter what is decided to be built there. So things like detention, the design of the new water main that has to happen, things like that. So later in the meeting today, I'll be asking for a contract amendment to talk about some additional funding we'll need, but I'll talk about that during that time. So that's kind of the update. Is there any questions on Hopewell?
Just could you point out on the map, the 3 replatted pieces where they
Yes,
have-
so that would be right up here. It's 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 buildings. This one's going to be a kind of a duplex shared
Duplex.
wall.
Mhm.
So once the full subdivision is approved, they'll split that lot into 2 lots. It'll be 2 different buildings, but these are the first 3.
Those are the ones.
Yeah. So 4 units, 3 buildings.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments, questions, commissioners on the engineering report? Okay. We are gonna move to our first item of business, which is resolution 2626, the approval of a notice of offering for College Square located at 200-226 South College Avenue. Who would like to speak to that?
I'm happy to speak to that. So as you know, we've been dealing with this site for a number of years. It is currently sitting vacant, except for Weddle Brothers, who's using it as a construction office to manage the convention center expansion project. As you heard earlier this year, we have a letter from 8 of 9 council members that would like us to receive the full value of what they paid for the land out of it, so $7 million. At the same time, this has been out there for some time that we were working on an offering. And so the CIB at their last meeting did send us an email and asked us to hold this offering for 30 days to consider a potential land swap. So you all have been in receipt of that email. And so at this point, you guys can either move to table this for 30 days or move forward with the public offering. The offering will not exclude them from responding. So they very much can respond if they choose to do so. But really, truly on you guys to decide how you want to move forward with this. We did receive 2 appraisals. The average one was less than $7 million, but one was more. There are some environmental conditions that are on the property. So there is some additional work that's going to be needed at the site. So the average of those 2 appraisals, though, ended up being 759. And I'm not sure that the appraisal that was over the $7 million mark fully considered the environmental conditions that were present. But these are the average of 2. This is what we're statutorily required to do. So if you do move forward with the offering, for the first 30 days, you are not allowed to accept any offerings that are less than that 759 number.
I'd like to add to that, the RDC has a different statutory authority than other governmental entities in that you have put a lot of criteria in the offering of what it is you want to see in a project. And that is how you can evaluate the project. It is not based on money. It's not like the highest bid for the buying the property like other public entities would have to do. You're able to select what project you would like to see at that property. So, I heard somebody had concerns that, well, somebody came in and bid a lot of money for the project, they would, for the property, they'd be able to take it. Well, not necessarily, because money wasn't necessarily the criteria. There's a whole large list of criteria that will be evaluated to determine the best project here. So I just wanted to put that out there, that it's not based on the money offered necessarily, that's a factor, but is based on the quality of the project.
Thank you. Okay, well, with that presentation, I will open this to questions or comments from commissioners for resolution 26-26. And that will include both the offering as well as the request for negotiations that's part of the packet under this item.
Question. I've got the same email that you did. I don't know what 30 days, what's going to happen in 30 days. Is there any other discussion as to what actually will occur specifically?
No, so the
Are they going
timeline,
to do appraisals and provide them, or are we going to get anything in 30 days?
you mean if you chose to pause the
Yes.
offering for 30
Yeah.
days? I did inquire as to whether there was a current appraisal of the south parcels to consider for the swap. To my knowledge, there is not one currently. We also don't have any information on the environmentals of the property or the current condition or the rent roll. So we don't have quite a bit of information that we would normally want to see to discern. It's hard to know if that particular property is also worth $7 million. There are several buildings there, 2 of which are historic. So that may require us to cooperate with the Historic Preservation Commission and possibly a demolition delay. So we really don't know at this time what would be needed. So typically appraisals take at least 30 days. So I have not heard that they are able to provide that within 30 days.
So we'd wind up essentially where we are right now in 30 days without knowing really what we would be swapping.
Potentially, yes.
And what's the timeline if the proposal goes out for how long respondents have to respond to the RFP?
So just backing up, typically it would be really hard for anyone responding to an offering like this to respond within 30 days. I mean, I think typically we would want to put it out there for 60 to 90 days. So we have a statutory requirement to publish this offering in the paper. And of course, right now it takes some time, even if I called today. So what we were anticipating is that if you did vote to approve the offering, it would be published on April 27th. And we would be collecting offerings until July 20th. We would open those on our regularly scheduled July 20th meeting date. That's 84 days. So that would be enough time to get appraisals or anything of the like for us to consider a trade or offering. But at that 84-day mark, we would then try to sort through them and make some decisions. But probably going to take 30 days at least after that to really know what we're dealing with based upon. We don't know how many we'll receive. We don't know if we'll receive. We have no idea.
Okay.
$7 million is a lot of money for that kind of property. And we have specifically excluded student-centric developments that are rent bedroom by bedroom as something that the RDC does not want to see in any public offerings. And typically, those income-producing properties would be the ones that would maybe consider a purchase price of that sort. So,
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners on this resolution before we open it for public comment?
Just to follow up on your statement, the CIB would, whether we delay or don't delay the public offering, the CIB would be welcome to respond just like anyone else, correct?
correct.
And is there anything different about what they would propose? Is there anything different or different obligations that they would have to in responding based on a proposed land swap as opposed to anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They'd be evaluated, right side by side with anything else.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
we do have language in the offering as well that says that if we get any responses for a host hotel, that it would be on the respondent to get the necessary approvals from the CIB. as a condition of the offering.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'll rip the Band-Aid off.
I don't think the land swap as proposed is a good opportunity or even a good deal for the city. I remind the commissioners that when we all got together a year and a half ago or whenever we started, we really, our mission was to do two things. One is finish projects that we already had underway that we have a really hard time getting finished, Hopewell being one. The second was that we have a lot of land inventory, and it's off the tax rolls, not on the tax rolls. And we've been land banking for years and years and years, and we really have no business doing that either. So this swap ends up being contrary to those two things. Not to mention that at the end of the day, it's my opinion, I've never appraised it, but I don't think you're going to see equal value. So I don't know how we get to the 7 to 7.5 million. But almost as importantly is that unfortunately the buildings that are on site have not been maintained. And there's a lot of deferred maintenance that somebody's going to have to pay for. Somebody's going to have to bring them up to some kind of standard, because I'm not even sure if they would meet today's hand inspections. I don't know for sure, but I would guess there'd be some problems. So it's not only taking on buildings and land, we've also have to pile a bunch of money into preserving buildings that are not meeting current rent rates. I know the commercial tenants are, at least the ones that I know, are leaving, so we'll have a lot of vacancy. I just don't see an opportunity there that would make any sense. Our role is not as developers. That may be good property for a seasoned developer to take on, but that's not what we do. And we've kind of proven it by taking so long with Hopewell. We're struggling. We've been down several different paths to get that accomplished. Hopefully we're on the right one now. But taking on more ground, requiring development that we have no idea how we're going to make it productive and get it back on the rent rolls is probably not in our best interest or the city's best interest. So I will be voting for a resolution to move our offering forward and not considering a land swap.
Thank you. And I just wanted to clarify, as it's stated in the RFP, it looks at how the RDC seeks transformative mixed-use redevelopment project, and the offering is intended to catalyze the long-term private investment, enhance downtown vitality, and advance the RDC's economic development objectives. So that, I just trying to confirm that kind of ties in with Mr. Kerr's comment in terms of how the RDC can look at responses to this proposal, to this RFP, in the sense of that the goal of selecting and evaluating responses is really based on the RDC's economic development objectives and not on, you know, again, highest and best use, or it's really just based on the mission of the RDC.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else before we open it for public comment? Okay. We will open it for public comment. We're going to alternate between in-person and online, but we can start with in-person.
Hi, I'm staying in for John Weikart today. I'm Jim Whitlash. I'm the attorney for the CIB, and I appreciate your time. And I have a statement that John prepared that I'll read to you. The Capital Improvement Board is hopeful that you will respond favorably to begin negotiations for a land exchange of your College Square parcels for the parcels south of the current convention center approved for transfer from the county to the CIB last week. This past December, after 14 months of effort to reach a deal for the College Square site with Dora Hospitality, the RDC considered but amended a resolution to make the site available for free or at a nominal cost for a host hotel. The initial draft appeared to have the support of the Thompson administration, but members of the City Council expressed their opposition, although publicly identifying a land exchange as one possible alternative. The CIB was later notified that month by Dora and the city that there was not a path forward in your discussions. This was followed in January by Mayor Thompson's stated intent to develop a plan for a public offering of the site, which brings us to this evening in the CIB request for negotiations. In response to the CIB's request, communications from President Meyerson and Executive Director Killian Hansen this past week identified a current appraisal of the south parcels as a condition of any negotiations. There is no appraisal of the south parcels since their acquisition, but to our knowledge they were purchased by the Convention and Visitors Commission with innkeeper's tax revenues in two separate 2010 transactions for approximately $3.2 million. Your proposed public offering identifies for potential bidders a College Square price to $7.6 million. If the CIB offer of land exchange consideration is viewed simply through the lens of a cost-benefit analysis of a transactional real estate swap for equal valued properties, then on the surface the CIB does not have that to offer in a negotiation. What we propose is that prior to your public offering you consider a different cost-benefit analysis, one of opportunity for the public good, rather than simply a transactional one based on cash value. Perhaps there is a different return on investment to consider. We each have parcels of lands that may have equal public value if the cost-benefit analysis was re-envisioned around achieving stated community goals rather than cash transactions. The College Square site has never been identified by the administration as appropriate for affordable housing development, and the CIB South parcels are not a better site option for a host hotel than College Square. Analyzed together, there may be opportunities in a land exchange to achieve both the economic development goals generated by a host hotel and the public goals shared by many for affordable housing development in the core downtown area. The 30-day period the CIB proposes can allow us to demonstrate to Bloomington that two public bodies have the capacity to meet and perhaps come to agreement on a proposal that both supports our downtown businesses and local economy and addresses one of our most critical community issues. The CIB is willing to pause in our next step for a host hotel for that period if you are willing to pause as well. The City of Bloomington has a history over different administrations of acquiring property, seeing that as an investment for development for the public good rather than an expense to be recovered. The selection of the Convention Center host hotel on the site is the duty of the CIB. We all recognize how much time has already been lost. If you decide tonight to release your public offering and invite the CIB to throw its hat in the ring with other potential suitors, if there are any, then the CIB will meet to decide if instead we re-engage immediately in hotel development for the south and west properties we now have to offer. Further delay of more months, with the possibility the primary consideration may ultimately be the best cash offer transaction for reimbursement, is not in the best interest of our project. Thank you for time and consideration. We hope you will agree to a brief pause for discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna, again, alternate between in-person and online. Is there somebody who's online who is here for public comment on Resolution 26-26? Okay, so, not seeing any hands raised. I beg your pardon? Okay, so, not seeing anybody online, we'll just continue with our in-person, but please let me know if anybody does raise their hand online. Thank you.
Hi, Courtney Daly, member of Common Council, here to ask you to please postpone the resolution for the 30 days as requested by the CIB. I am the holdout from the letter who did not ask for the full $7 million in exchange for the property. So this is my moment to speak then, I guess. I basically want to reiterate everything that Mr. Whitlatch said. I think that there is no better place for a host hotel. It doesn't make sense to put a host hotel for the convention center down on that south property. It is simply too far away. I would love support and cooperation in trying to get the host hotel closer back up where we had been looking at the Bunker Robertson property. The south property, while it may not be worth as much, I think is respectfully disagree that it's not an opportunity. I think it is actually a great opportunity for the city. It is so close to Hopewell. We're looking for more affordable housing. We could do something wonderful with that land, if not putting in more affordable housing, more amenities for Hopewell. I think we can really revitalize that entire block area if we can pull off that land swap. So I really hope that you will please consider doing the land swap. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, for public comment?
Would you like us to speak to the microphone or just?
Yes, just come speak to the microphone, please. That way it's available for recording.
Hello, my name is Barry Herbers. I live down the street from the south parcel. Bloomington is in sort of an affordable housing crisis, not just of market rate housing, but particularly of prices below the average, which average is, of course, made of things above and below it. Seminary Point, the south property, represents 30-odd units of super affordable housing. I've got a few friends living at Seminary Point right now. One of them is actually here, and I live down the street from there. And having Friendly Beast in walking distance, which is one of the commercial space tenants, has been wonderful for engendering a sense of community in my neighborhood. And as a nearby resident, I'm overjoyed at the prospect of more community infrastructure and small businesses being integrated there. And when I was first told about the idea of the land swap, what really got me interested is like that sense of like neighborliness that's down there. That's like it's there, but it's lacking in some ways at the moment. And I've been hearing a lot of older folks lately talking about preserving the spirit of old Bloomington. Now, I'm a bit of a transplant. When I moved here, one of the first things that happened is a bunch of my new friends showed me that movie Breaking Away. I'm sure you've all seen it. It's sort of like about that tension between the city slickers at the university and the rough and tumble kids down who just want to ride their bikes and are probably going to be cutting limestone someday. Now, things aren't the same as they always were, but one of the friends I do have living at Seminary Point, he's not able to make it today. He works in construction, and he was actually laid off recently, and that apartment has been a lifeline for him and his second baby that's on the way with his partner. And it would make me, it hurts me to imagine him getting displaced, even if he can find a place of similar price, like far off, like in that downtown area. It's really the only option for someone like him. And to speak to that Bloomington spirit as I understand it, it's communal and it's also working class. And to me, that's what this is sort of all about. It's a promise to Bloomington's working class that we can preserve that lower bracket of super affordable housing that gets people on their feet alongside building these new single-family homes, perhaps in Hopewell, that people can get to once they've gotten stabilized with their families and such. And the CIB has made it sort of clear that they can't maintain the affordable housing at that place. We've talked to them a fair amount, and they might not even be legally allowed to. It's unclear. And what they can do, though, is swap it for land that's perfectly suited to their purpose, their legal purpose, which is to help the convention center with a new hotel. So I want to come out in favor of delaying this process so that the CIB has an opportunity to make their case heard, and that organizations like the RDC will have an opportunity, if they take that land, to help steward it into some sort of grassroots organization. Like maybe I've heard people talk about a community land trust, and to like build permanently affordable, well, not build, but build and maintain permanently affordable housing for Bloomington's working class. And I hear rumblings that they're actually working on a presentation as we speak, so hopefully that comes by soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have someone else who would like to be present for public comment at this time?
Yeah, I would. Don't hurt yourself.
Oh, it's worth. This is the cost of public civic engagement. Busted elbows. Hi, I'm Bryce Green. I've been living in Bloomington for around a decade now, and I'm in favor of you guys delaying this this offering because Well, like what everyone else has been saying, there is a lot of value in what this land can offer the community beyond the monetary value of the land. And there seems to be no reason that it can't go forward, that this land swap can't go forward, other than a confusion about what that would mean for the city. I know you in your comments mentioned that like this would take a lot of city resources to develop and to maintain, and there's been a lot of deferred maintenance. And that's all, I think valid concerns. But I think what the residents of the Seminary Point apartments and what community members have come together and really been working hard on is a plan that doesn't involve too much more resources from the city, that actually builds off of existing models of affordable housing, of cooperative ownership that exists in the city already. Right now, there are a very small number of super affordable housing units in the city. These are the units that are standing in between someone and being homeless, and almost all of them are offered under cooperative structures. And the fact that we have people in the room today, in the community now, who are willing to put in the time and effort to develop that, I think that should be taken into account, because this property can be a lot more than either a hotel or even a standard addition to what Hopewell could be. It could be something a lot more. It can be something that is a fixture of the community on the Beeline, has friendly beasts, all this nice stuff, and it can be one of those fixtures of Bloomington that makes it unique and a really lovely place to be. So I think that take time to consider this, look over the details. If this whole thing is stupid and we're stupid, then we might be able to figure that out. But I don't think we are, and I think that this is worth at least taking 30 days to look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any others who would like to speak before the comment, please move forward.
Anyone online?
Come forward, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, one
Could you
second.
please state your name?
Yes, absolutely, thank you. My name is Matthew Joseph. I've been a resident of Bloomington for about 6 years. I'm also in favor of the delay and starting negotiations with the CIB. I think the question that starts for me is is there a world where we can build out a hotel for the convention center and save precious affordable housing in Bloomington, pleasing both future tourists and existing Bloomington community? A negotiation between the CIB and the RDC gives us all the chance to answer that question and to see what that world could look like, to explore what that world could look like, and give us a chance to dream a little. Get a little creative. This is what we're here to do as community members. And it's all of us to see as a community how we can build a win-win for the city and its residents, for the future of it and the current maintenance of it and the flourishing of it. And I want you to know, I don't think you'll be alone in this process. It might feel like the weight of it is going to be on you, but I think what Bryce said, there is organizations that exist to solve problems like this and to build up flourishing communities like this. Bloomington Cooperative Living, actually the housing that I'm myself a part of, and Avalon Land Trust, as well as others, are some of the biggest and most successful affordable housing initiatives in Bloomington, and that have built projects like this. And we're already, we're working with them already to build a plan, pulling from evidence-based models from different states of how they've done similar things with similar types of projects. Pulling specifically from a city within Michigan that had, in a similar way, maybe affordable housing that needs some revitalization, and then turned it into something that was really incredible for the city and actually became one of an incredible hotspot for that city. Not just affordable housing, right? That maybe we might have that idea. And also, please, I really mean this. Don't be convinced that this is a dump. I know this is how the society looks at affordable housing. It's it must be some dump or something. Please don't let that bias take over, because it's actually something that might surprise you. We actually we saw Randy from the RDC. I think he's an electrician or something. And we showed him around the space. Just 'cause we had happened to walk into him. We showed him the commercial spaces. We showed him a unit actually. He was very surprised and honestly amazed at like. Of course, it's not perfect. I'm not saying not $1 is going to get spent on it, but it's more like, oh, am I going over time?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I haven't done this a lot. This is just something I'm passionate about. But yeah, in general, this gives us the time to take this seriously, get creative, see what we can do as a community, and engage our organizations that are already doing stuff like this. And the last thing I'll say is I think what makes a good city is not always what is perfect on the income statement or some perfect equal transaction, although I think this plan could be something that flourishes that area. But it's something that's good for its people. And I think this 30 days will allow us to explore that more. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking. Will the next public speaker please move forward to the hotspot?
My name is Audrey Smith. Some of you might recognize me because I spoke in December against transferring this land for nothing. You might remember that I really hate public speaking. I didn't have the opportunity today to prepare exactly what I wanted to say, and I came in a little bit late, so I haven't heard everything that's been discussed. But I heard a little bit about the cost-benefit analysis being considered and different ways to look at that and the highest and best use of different properties. One thing that I wanted to note is that it's just difficult to calculate the economic benefit of the hotel being located in its ideal location. The whole point of the convention center is for economic development, and that hotel is intended to support that. So I'm sure there are people who are better at analyzing that than I am, but I think that's something that's important to consider. And I think it's also important to consider that having housing available for people that is affordable near where they want to work or where they're able to work is really important to economic development as well. The last thing I want to add is just that in the grand scheme of how long things take, a month is not very long. So I want to encourage you all to just take the time to weigh the options and figure out what is best for this property. Delaying for 1 month is really not going to make a big difference in how long it takes to build whatever ends up on that property. So, thank you.
Thank you for coming to speak. Any others who would like to be part of the public speaking on Resolution 26-26?
Hi, my name is Sarah Mosier, and I wanted to echo what my neighbors have said about approving the land swap for the two properties, the north and south. I live right up the hill from the south property, and I go down there all the time to Friendly Beast, but also to talk to the folks that live around there. And I actually took a cost-benefit analysis course in my MPA here at IU, and so I remember one thing that they don't take into account when we're doing those calculations is the kind of very long-term impacts that can happen from individual people. And there's families that live in those apartments now that could be starting small businesses or bringing all kinds of other development to the city in the future. They won't get a chance if they get kicked out and have no place to live and have to move out to the county, move out to other cities that are more affordable than Bloomington. So approving the land swap would just give them a little bit more of a chance. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to speak tonight. Anyone else who would like to be part of the public comment on Resolution 26-26? Seeing none. We are going back to the commissioners. Any comments or questions from commissioners based on the public comment or anything further that would be worthwhile to discuss on Resolution 26-26?
Point of clarification is, because I just don't remember, is it the case currently that the current tenants have leases that expire in July. If that's correct. And have we, I don't believe, have talked about how swap would, any kind of land swap would affect that date, but perhaps that's intended to be part of the discussion.
My understanding is that the leases are not being renewed as of July 7th. So we would not have any say over those leases right now at this point.
Right.
So it would be really up to the CIB to manage the leases in terms of any further discussion about a land swap or other considerations.
Correct. At this time, my understanding is that the Monroe County Apartment Association has worked with the remaining 15 tenants to try and find suitable or similar housing. I'm not sure exactly what the current status is. I just know that what has been communicated to me from Mr. Weichart is that as of July 7th, there will not be any remaining tenants. So unless they choose to extend the leases or something to that effect, which we have not had any discussions about.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments from commissioners on resolution 26-26?
Yeah, I can't worry.
I have no further comments.
Okay. Thank you to members of the public who have offered comments. I appreciate it. And to those representing the CIB as well. Whenever I listen to public comment or to a proposal, I tend to think in terms of compelling arguments and less compelling arguments, or not compelling arguments. And there are several things that I find very compelling. One is the caution and statement that we received from most council members, Councilmember Daley accepted, stating that we not undervalue this land when engaging in a transaction with that. I hear that, and I find that a compelling statement on behalf of our city council. I also find it compelling that 30 days is not a long time. Okay, 30 days. The notion that a great deal can change in 30 days isn't compelling to me. I don't see how an appraisal can be done, environmentals can be done. I don't see how that can possibly get done. So the notion that 30 days will make a significant difference in negotiations without all of that critical information that we are obligated to pay attention to, I don't find that a compelling argument. I also don't find it compelling to argue that the CIB is at an inherent disadvantage compared to deeper pocket developers. That's my expression. We are not obligated to only look at the finances of this, and we've said that many, many times in this meeting. So we can look at the whole of a project and the whole of its potential. And indeed are expected to do so. So I find that very compelling. So I am actually going to move forward and support the issuance of this offering.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, I want to make a couple of clarifications. There's nothing in the offering that will prohibit a hotelier from making a proposal. So that, just because if we don't do the land swap, it doesn't make that College Square site off the table for a hotel. I agree with Sue Scambolari, 30 days is not going to get us much further than we are now, so we're just kind of kicking the can down the road. There's also a misnomer, I think, that this body, the RDC, are builders and developers. We're not. It's not what we do, and that's not what we use taxpayer money for. We do infrastructure, but somebody else has to build it and manage it. We're not landlords. So if we take over existing facilities or buildings that have tenants, we don't have managers, we don't have a landlord, we don't even have a way to collect rent. I mean, that's not what we do. So I just want to make it clear that we're not, I'm incredibly sensitive to the position that the residential folks are in. And in a best world, we could find a third party to take those properties and do something real positive with them. But this isn't the body. And so we have to move on and do what we're charged to do. And it's just not taking on properties and being a landlord. So I just kind of want to make that clear.
Thank you.
I add one more thing too, and I should have said this earlier. I also want to extend my gratitude to everyone who took the time to come and speak. And I agree with my fellow commissioner that much of what you said, all of it was compelling and heartfelt, and I think we do definitely take it seriously. I think trying to find a solution that allows us to do the best we can with both parcels of land in cooperation with the CIB is in everyone's interests. And I agree, though, as well with my fellow commissioners that 30 days is not going to change anything. And that, in a sense, moving forward as quickly as we can actually starts to open up some other possibilities and opportunities that may not be evident to us because we haven't been clear about what our vision is for College Square, haven't perhaps explored enough about what the options are with some mythical, but hopefully not too mythical, third party who could come in and help us think about what could happen south of the convention center. So my own feeling as well is that we need to start bringing some other players into the picture, because I think that's going to help us find the best outcome for both College Square and for the property south of the current convention center.
Thank you. I will add my own final comments. I do appreciate the public speakers tonight. I appreciate when there are voices there for housing visions for the community, because we definitely need that. I do feel, as I've heard from my colleagues on the commission, that I feel that the advantage of voting yes on the offering for the College Square property tonight for Resolution 26 actually offers an advantage of time for both what the CIB could bring, for what potential hoteliers could bring, as well as for coming to an efficient end to what happens with the College Square property. In addition to looking more creatively at visions for the southern properties. It just may not be the RDC's vision. It may need to be of other parties in the community. So it's not at all rejecting the ideas of what we've heard. It's just finding the right channel for that initiative. So again, I appreciate the voices and hearing that, and looking at the way to move forward on that. With that, I think we are ready for a vote.
I'll move approval of Resolution 2626.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. We are now on to the next item on our agenda, which is Resolution 26-27, the approval of first addendum to the preliminary design contract for Hopewell South. Who would like to speak to that?
Kendall Kanoki, Engineering Department. I'll speak to that. So in front of you is a contract amendment to our Hopewell South design contract. There are two items that came up as additional design services that we needed for this project. One of which right here is the additional survey that's required for some off-site utilities that are required for CBU. This is, regardless of what you do with the property, these things are required. So one of them is the water main. I think I've mentioned this to you before, but a new water main from Rogers all the way to about halfway down Wiley. This is replacing, I believe it's a 1927 water main. No matter what you did on the property, this is something that CBU would require. This was not included in the initial CEC survey that we used just because they were only surveying the Hopewell South property. This would be additional topographic survey that we'd have to do. The other item is detention for the west portion of Hopewell South. So this all drains this way. Our detention basin is here. This all drains this way. We were initially asking CBU if we could over detain this area to accommodate this area. They said no, there's flooding issues down here. We really want you to do something. And we have right of way along Wiley where you can do something. So they have asked us to do some detention somewhere along here in this existing right of way along Wiley. Basically, Wiley for some reason was built west of the initial dedicated right of way, and then that was dedicated later. So it's actually a really wide right of way here. So we already have property, but we need to go in and survey and get the utilities located and figure out where we can do detention. We also have to get our storm sewer over there. So it kind of just becomes this whole lump, and we may actually run it down the platted alley too. So we're kind of just picking it all up so we can do a full design of this area. Our consultant is actually did not give us an increase in their design fee for the design of the detention in the water main. They just had kind of assumed that they would have to do a certain level of detention design, so there's no additional cost for that, but this is really all for topographic survey. And then the other item is for geotechnical exploration. So we were going out and doing pavement design, geotech work for the entire Hopewell South development. We were already doing a lot of exploratory borings on the 714 South Rogers building, and American Structure Point was doing their study, and we just reached out and asked, what we're already going out there, what kind of geotechnical testing do you need to make a really good decision about whether or not you can use that property, what can be done there. And so they gave us some geotechnical tests that they wanted to do that, when combined with our already going out there scope of work, would be a lot cheaper. So that's the other part of this, is additional geotechnical testing for the 714 South Rogers site. And these are the tests that were requested or recommended by American Structure Point for that. So those are the two items in front of you. They are defined in Exhibit A is where the cost is. So it's $20,000 for the additional topographic survey, $19,000 for the additional geotechnical work, additional $39,000. So this will be ultimately, this will get added to the entire contract, and once everything is completed, that'll add on to the final contract amount. So this is stuff that it's going to happen either way, is my understanding, and wanted to go ahead and get the survey, undergoing and the geotechnical work, since it's both kind of preliminary work. So that's why it's in front of you right now, even though we're on pause for former rezone approval. So happy to answer any questions. I think that is everything.
This is really a little off the wall, but if you were to guess, since some of that geotech work is going to be contributed to the 714 property, what percentage of the 39,000 would be will be used by them and not by Structure Point, and not necessarily have anything to do with the Hopewell subdivision of the PUD?
It is $19,000 because we already had
so it
the
is the
geotech.
19,000.
Yeah, this is solely for that 714 project.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Any other questions from commissioners on Resolution 26-27 and the scope of the topos or the geotechnical?
Yeah, I'm going to continue my thought. What concerns me about that portion is that I'm getting a sense, because we're not getting really good feedback from Structure Point, that I don't know what we're going to see when we get it back. And whether this project or a project that's planned for that property is doable. And we're going to spend another $19,000 on top of it, which will be useless if we can't use the building the way we want to. So I'm throwing it out there. I just don't know. a little tired to continue to spend money on something that it's a flyer right now.
I'm gonna ask some clarification, and maybe this is what you're gonna provide, but just if the, structure point study will be available, and if that would be a use of available use before the expense for this additional, engineering work is needed. So just, would that be a decision point of whatever's in that report would then inform this scope of work?
Forgive me if I'm incorrect here, Kendall, but was my understanding that these borings were being done in the current parking lot, which is where the potential stormwater detention would go. And so that, they overlap a little bit in that way. And so it's in the 714 parking lot currently, but those projects overlap. And so
Yeah, we were already
the,
drilling.
the expense for one project is a little bit blurry versus the expense for the other project.
Yeah, I mean, we were already drilling, so this is just additional testing that they were gonna do with those, I don't know exactly how it works, but you have the equipment out there, you're doing a big boring, they're running additional tests, so they might be sampling additional material. But when you think about they're already out there, that's why we were kind of asking the question, well, what do we really need to know for the 714 building to help with the evaluation of that? So the 19,000 truly is the additional testing that, and I was trying to find the email where they were specifying what testing they needed to help in the evaluation.
I wouldn't have understood it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly cost more if you, no matter who you approached, if they asked for these tests, you'd have to then have someone go back out and do it, and it would cost more, for sure.
And additionally, if you'll recall, we don't have construction plans for that building, so it makes it difficult to understand the building fully. And so doing these borings underground will help us know what that building is capable of housing.
Instead of structure point informing this may be informing structure point, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, and it could inform this group on whatever goes there, because that information will be good to know.
Okay.
So I believe this is additional work. This was not included in their original scope of work.
That's correct.
This is additional work for additional information.
I understand that part.
Okay.
That's not a question.
It was more just trying to determine if there's, the pending report from structure point would inform this scope or not. It sounds like this
I don't
would.
put good money on bad.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, and to that point, there's sort of, I mean, so the sequence here, the borings before we see something back from structure point, is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, I think it will reinforce what path we're possibly already going down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be diplomatic and neutral and.
Okay, well, and I guess what I'm asking too is then, I will ask the question about length of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're earlier talked about getting more information from structure point. It sounded like that was imminent, maybe, or should be imminent. This is going to delay that further, maybe appropriately. I'm just trying to get a sense of what the timing is now, if that makes sense. So this work is going to go forward. So are we going to see something from structure point before the testing happens?
Well, I mean, if this isn't approved tonight, we will pull it from Patriot's scope, but they're already scheduled to go out there, so that's another advantage we have.
Yeah, I'm not objecting to that. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to set our expectations for when we're going to get, information that we've been waiting for.
The report from structure point is not contingent on the study, but the study can help them hone in better
Right.
in the report.
Which is potentially a good thing. I understand that. I'm just trying to get a sense of the timing.
Yeah.
Some of the options that they're looking at may be looking at the parking lot, or at least the portions of the parking lot, a little differently than parking lot. And so this would provide them information if that would be suitable. So this would be variations of how to use the property and whether that a particular variation might be, might work. So it,
Yeah, sure.
it's looking at it, one of the alternatives that, that was discussed. Is that a way to put it, Anna?
Are you asking when will the RDC receive information on what structure point is found?
Yes.
Okay, to be clear. I think that there are a couple of things, well, I guess I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure how scheduling or how coordination for the RDC works, forgive me for not knowing, but I think I would expect something coming soon. But given that internally there are still some questions that we want to run by various departments just to make sure that we've kind of thought some things through before we present it to you, sort of anticipating questions from you and going from there. So I don't know, I don't always like to attach a timeline on things when I don't exactly know, but as the project manager, I would hope soon.
What a great political answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I just, as I say, going off the earlier discussion where there were concerns raised about the time that's elapsed already. I'm just trying to get a sense of how, so it sounds like we're maybe still yet this spring. Is that a fair statement?
This spring?
This spring.
Well, qualify the year.
I think that's reasonable.
Is that reasonable?
I think it's reasonable that we will have some ideas in the near future.
Yeah, okay, all right. I think that is as good as we can get right now. Thank you.
And I did want to add, I found the email, the big thing was performing a shear wave velocity test, which is a critical first step in determining next steps in the structural evaluation of the building.
Oh, I understand that.
I don't know if that's helpful or not.
But it's not.
Sounds very official and important.
It sounds like to me it's something that anyone who wanted to do something at that site
Would want to know that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Off
not
the
disputing the
clock, you
value
can
of the
explain that all
information.
to me. I wish I could.
Okay, well, I hope that explains most. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion on resolution 26-27.
I'll move approval of resolution 2627.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is resolution 26-28, which is the approval of a first amendment to the agreement with Mother Nature Landscaping Incorporated for the landscaping services at the Trades District and Trades District Garage. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, Nick Blanford, Economic and Sustainable Development. We have discovered that trees are growing into the tree grates throughout the Trades District. This will cause harm for future growth. It's already damaged electrical boxes that are contained within those tree grates. We've consulted Haskell Smith, our urban forester here with the city. Mother Nature Landscaping is capable of doing this work. They've given us an estimate of $20,850.70. And we simply need to amend their service agreement to work within this scope and not to exceed the quoted figure.
And I'm trying to share right now a picture, and it was up at one point, but it is not anymore. I do have some photos of those electrical boxes that are going into the trees right now. For some reason, technology is not helping, so if I can get it up, I'll try to. While you discuss.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification, and I may not be reading this properly, but in the third whereas, it mentions a bid that came in from Mother Nature at $19,275,000. In the fifth whereas, it's proposing that the agreement be made for $20,850.70. Just trying to understand the difference between those two numbers.
2590 was for $19,275. That was the base contract.
That's what I missed. That's what I missed. That's the old one. Sorry.
This is an amendment.
Yeah, and this
just
is an amendment
maintaining
to it.
that
So we're not.
contract because it's in place and adding this to it to deal with
Yeah.
the tree grates and.
Yeah, thank you. I missed the beginning of that sentence, so.
I do have an image up if you guys want to take a look, but those are like little boxes there.
So Nick, have we learned anything in future development?
Well, the good news is that these grates are designed to be expanded. So it's not a matter of completely ripping them up. It's a matter of removing the pavers there and basically cutting into the grates as designed. So the lesson is to do this sooner.
Okay.
Apparently, we were warned about this at one point, I think.
We'll take some, yeah.
Why
take
don't
some
we
rubber
why doesn't
trees
code,
to
I
grow.
mean, here's a place where code could be very helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Start larger.
Yeah, start larger.
Well, actually, the reason for that is when you have a larger opening and a lot of space in between that and the tree itself, it creates a trip hazard. So that's why they're designed to be opened. But even though not all are overgrown, there are 41, I believe, trees in the district. We are going to go ahead and expand all of them, so we don't have to go a second round on this. Yeah.
So would there typically in the future be some kind of schedule for like plant the trees, have the tree grate so it's not too big so it doesn't make a trip hazard, but then like every, I don't know, 2 years, look at how to enlarge it? Like what's the expected protocol and how does that differ from what the current protocol is?
It's an excellent question. I don't know that there is an established protocol right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think we should. I think an examination every year or two would be wise.
Okay.
I assume that this is within the purview of the RDC and that's their responsibility.
Yes, it is. Those right-of-ways have not been accepted into the city, so it's still owned by the RDC. And so this would fall under the good old 2602 maintenance. Coming out of the 2519.
One just additional question. I understand that the original base contract was awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. When there's an amendment such as this, is that not subject for additional bidding? Because this is basically more than the original contract.
It is not because it's professional. It's a services agreement, which is different than a purchase agreement. So you can select whomever you choose for services agreement. They did a bidding process because they felt that was the best way to select initially. But since they built a relationship with them, they can continue to service.
So they didn't have to the
them.
first time, but they did, and then the second time they didn't have to, and they didn't.
Yeah, well, the first time they didn't have to, and they did.
That's what I
right?
said.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm
Okay.
trying to follow you, yes.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you for that clarification. Any other questions? I see we have some interest in public comment. Just want to make sure commissioners are.
I'm a member of the Tree Commission and
Just
Haskell
introduce
Smith-
yourself by name, please.
George Hageman.
Thank you.
And Haskell Smith has a 2-year cycle of re-inspecting tree grades with respect to the possibility of their need for renovation and enlargement. So there is a policy in place. I don't know how it's funded. I think there are different sources of funding depending on where the site is. It's different from around the square than in other areas, but it's complicated.
Okay.
But it's a common practice.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that additional information.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. Okay. Anything else before we move for a vote? I will accept a motion, please.
I'll move approval of resolution 2628.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for 2628 passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last item on our agenda this evening is Resolution 2629, which is the approval of a First Amendment to the Agreement for Public Art in Hopewell East. And we have Ms. Dragovich to speak to that.
Thank you. Yes. This is for an extension of the agreement between the RDC and Bunyama. The artist, John Rasick, who is fabricating and installing the Hopewell public art called Undulate. The contract and the resolution have both expired, and so this is an extension of those dates. The resolution would be extended to this year, December 31st. And then the contract would be extended to September 1st of this year. We worked with the artist to find that date, and we think that it can be achieved. They have the piece fabricated. It's really at this point finding a concrete contractor to lay the foundation, letting the concrete cure for a month, and then installing the fabricated art pieces. So we're really close to the finish line, and like I said, we worked with the artist to come up with that timeline, and we think that it's achievable. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners on Resolution 2629?
Well, we certainly haven't been on time with everything
Yeah.
else we've done, so I think it's a perfectly good request.
And there's nothing in the discussions about possible modifications to the design of Hopewell that will change the location?
Oh, no, I don't, no.
Yeah.
No.
Wasn't
No.
here for the original resolution, so I'm not sure what this looks like or where it's supposed to go, so.
It's in the
I wasn't here
commons area.
In the commons area.
In the commons area,
Okay.
west of, I always get Madison and Maple mixed up.
Yeah. Don't ask me. That's fine. That was all, again, not having had the background.
Any other questions, comments from commissioners? Otherwise, I'll open it for public comment. Not seeing anybody online or in person. I'll accept the motion on Resolution 2629.
Move approval of Resolution 2629.
Second.
A first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We are now towards the end of our new business. Anything else further before we adjourn? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time this evening.